Yes, welcome in one and all. This is the Full 10 Yards of Betting podcast, and we have made it to the postseason. Looking forward to it. I've been pumped for a couple of weeks for the postseason. The creme de la creme have risen to the top, and the Steelers are included as well. So we get to watch them for for another week. But ho hum, we can't have it. The thing is though, it's either the Pittsburgh Steelers or I suppose or the Jags. I mean, it's like pick your poison, isn't it? A little bit really, but there we go. Yeah, never mind. But as always, running their thumb over the action, and we're going to be previewing every game, all 6 games of Super Wildcard Weekend. Adam and Liam managed to hold their relationship together for another week, just for everyone watching and listening at home. So thank you for that. But Adam, good evening to you, sir. Excited for the playoffs, even though there's no Bengals there.
Yeah, it's weird. I was looking through the news on Twitter and but the season's over, and then realised that the season's not over for 14 teams. It's still going, and yeah, obviously we've been spoiled as a Bengals fan for the last few years where they've been in it and actually competing. Whereas this year is going to be a little bit different. It's been a while since I've had to do a neutral kind of view on the games over the weekend, but I am looking forward to it.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be the playoffs without a home game for the Kansas City Chiefs in recent years, but they might not have home games throughout if they get towards the Super Bowl. But Liam, how do you fancy the Chiefs' chances?
Yeah, I'll be cheering on the Steelers, won't I, for so I can get another home game in the second in the second week. So yeah, cheering on the Steelers is a weird place to be in life, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Playoffs are fun. I actually like that we've got the Saturday nighttime game. I think that's a pretty good slot. Although it will ruin Sunday for me if the Chiefs lose, so we'll see. But yeah, I always like the Chiefs' chances. So yeah, it should be fun. I think at least for this weekend, it should be fun. We'll see. We'll deal with next weekend when it comes. But yeah, I think this weekend should be good, and we don't have to worry about the whole Peacock only thing, which everyone on my timeline who's a Chiefs fan in America has been pissed off about, and we don't have to worry about that. So that's nice. So it's good.
Yeah, and as a Dallas Cowboys fan, I always, we'll win one and then see what happens. But we should have at least 2 home games. Well, no, we should have 2 home games. So that's fun. That's different. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how heartbreakingly we go out of the playoffs this year. Yeah,
it won't be the same as last year, at least with a Zeke Elliott snap sack. So that's good.
No, but it might be against the San Francisco 49ers, just at Levi. I nearly said Candlestick Park then, but it shows my age a little bit. But yeah, Levi Stadium. So who knows? If we get to, I'll be happy with a championship game. Like I've never experienced a championship game as a Dallas Cowboys fan. Don't expect one, so we'll see how we go. But there we go. Yeah, all the games, all 6 games spread over Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Saturday game, 2 Saturday games we have, and we kick off in Houston. Houston, obviously by virtue of the Jags losing to Tennessee and Houston obviously beating the Colts, they host a home game. And I suppose kudos goes to Texans because no one thought the Texans were going to be in this position come the start of the season. So their fans are absolutely delighted. And obviously the first round picks of Will Anderson and CJ Stroud making their impact early. But they are 2.5 point underdogs as they host the Cleveland Browns and Joe Flacco. 44.5 is the over-under, and I'm really looking forward to this one. I think it'd be quite a defensive one. But Adam, your thoughts on the first game up?
I actually think there's going to be quite a lot of points. They played each other on Christmas Eve. It was Davis Mills and Case Keenum facing each other. Not facing each other, playing for the Texans against obviously Mr. Joe Flacco, and it was a high-scoring game. It was 58 points in that one. Flacco committed a few turnovers. He has done in most games, and obviously in this one we will have CJ Stroud there, so they should be more effective. The Texans should be more effective on offense as well. So I actually think it could be quite a high-scoring one. I don't think there's any weather issues down in Houston, so I think we're all right there.
Yeah, the aircon.
It's the dome, is it? The NRG, is it?
The aircon's knackered. Someone's knackered the aircon. It's going to be freezing cold.
I can never remember. But yeah, I think the Browns' defense is worse on the road as well, only kind of marginally. But they are officially the worst team in the playoffs on defense on the road. So 2-5 against the spread, the Browns are when they travel away from Cleveland. So I think it might actually be quite interesting. I do think the Browns will win. I think they are the better team. And we've got a good old rookie quarterback against, well, the most experienced quarterback in the playoffs, and rookie quarterbacks normally struggle in that spot. They only have they win about 1 in 3, so it's not a good spot for CJ Stroud. I did hear a little stat today though. Joe Flacco It's his first playoff game in 9 years. It's the second longest gap between playoff games. Good luck guessing the other one. Do you guys know who's first?
What years are we talking?
It's fairly recent, actually. Well, I say fairly recent, within the last 15.
Nick Foles?
No, it was. No, it was for
I mean,
the Buffalo
I'd
Bills,
love
I
to sit
believe.
here and I'd love to sit here and guess it, but it's not going to it's not great content, is it? So
Doug Flutie apparently had
on the tip of my tongue, that was.
4,300 days between his playoff appearances. So yeah, nice little random stat I heard. But yeah, anyway, on with the rest of it. Yeah, I think the Browns are definitely my lean for the spread. I think I would go for over if I was forced to pick one of those two things. So I've gone with the Browns and the over. I've gone for the Browns plus 2.5 and over 44.5. That is 5-2 on Sky Bet.
lovely stuff. Yeah, first quarter. I do like a first quarter total points bet. The line here is 7.5, so I assume you like the over on that.
Yeah, I think touchdown for one, field goal for the other one. Obviously, we saw last week the Texans started with first play going deep down the field. I did read something about the Browns defense being a particularly decent match against Nico Collins, though, so I'm maybe not going with that. But yeah, it should be a fun game.
Liam, your thoughts?
Yeah, first half points total is 22.5 as well, which I quite like the over in that. Houston Texans defense don't actually start as well. They've conceded the second least amount of fourth quarter points of any of the AFC teams, whereas in the first half, they're the worst defense at first half points conceded. So apart from the Bills, actually, ironically. So yeah, I think there'll be points as well, especially in the first half. Like I said, I'm a little bit biased due to my love for CJ. So and the fact I do want someone to beat the Ravens, though, and I think the Browns could beat the Ravens, which is jumping ahead a week. But I do think the Texans are the right for. I do think the favorite should be the Texans for me. I was surprised the line was what it was. So yeah, I would go with the Texans. I don't mind them at 11-10 on the money line because I do think they'll win the game. But yeah, I think it'll be a very close game. I agree with Adam. I think there'll be points just because of how good CJ Stroud is, how many shots that they let Joe Flacco take, and how bad the Texans are at stopping the run. Just look at Jonathan Taylor last week. You know, the Browns are going to be able to run the ball pretty well on the Texans. So yeah, for me, I think the Texans can win. But yeah, the Browns defense is so good, and CJ Stroud is a rookie and is only thrown to one receiver that my best bet isn't based around the who's winning the game or the total. I've gone for a prop, so I've gone for Singletary to have over 16.5 carries in the game. Unfortunately for the Texans, the one thing they don't do well is they run the ball too much at the moment on first down, which is why their games are a little bit closer than they should. But for this bet, that's good because it means they're going to run. I think this will be a close game. I think against the Browns defense, you don't want him throwing 30, 40 times if you're a defensive head coach like D'Amico is. I think you're going to want to run the ball and be quite even. So yeah, over 16.5 carries for me for their starting running back, who's Damian Pierce not even playing hardly. So he's going to get a bulk load of the carries. So yeah, I like that. Sky Bet have got a boost though. Stroud and Flacco, 250 yards each passing and 2 passing touchdowns each. 6-1. I don't mind that as someone who thinks there's going to be loads of points. The only worry is they do run it in the red zone a lot, the Browns. So that's your worry there. But for me, I don't think that's bad. And if I was going to pick a touchdown scorer, I think Nico Collins might be a man for that one, 5-4, just because they've got hardly anyone else to throw to. And CJ Stroud loves Nico Collins. So yeah, I thought that would be evens, if not worse than that, to be honest. So yeah, 5-4 is a good shout for Nico.
I like it. Like Singletary's been getting a bulk load of carries. You look at his attempts over the last couple of weeks, even ever since Damian Pierce kind of went out, they'll just give him the ball, and he's kind of flourishing because I was reading somewhere, obviously, the reason they give Singletary a lot more than Pierce is because Singletary picks up the zone concepts a lot better as well. So that's why he's getting a lot of success with him. And so if you've got one running back that gets the scheme and gets the production out of it, why as much as they love Damian Pierce. You don't give it to a guy that doesn't know how to run the ball in the scheme that you're operating in. It's just obviously it's just common sense, isn't it? I know not all GMs, all head coaches have that, but yeah, there we are. Adam, you said you had a bonus pick as well, bonus pick for us.
Yeah, kind of similar to what Liam was going on with the lack of other options at running back. CJ Stroud, his rush line is only 10.5. Obviously, he's a fairly mobile QB. He's young, and with the game on the line, with the season on the line, I just have a feel he might scramble a little bit more than he has done previously. So I thought 10.5 yards was fairly achievable for him. We probably should have mentioned Amari Cooper had 265 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Texans at Christmas. So obviously maybe worth having a look for him on the receiving yards as well.
He's 72.5.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, it's high.
Yeah, certainly it did. I'm going to go a bit against the grain. I'm going to go under. I think being the first game of Wildcard Weekend, D'Amico Ryan's, I'm right in believing it's his first kind of it's his first head coaching job, so it's his first playoff game. I don't necessarily think. Well, I don't know if he lets the the reins off and then just says just do what we've been doing for the whole season, then fine. But these kind of games and these kind of weekends and postseason just can make you just think too much about it. So I don't know whether or not he'll go into his shell a little bit, go a bit conservative, especially against the Browns defense. He said he want to limit the mistakes, run the ball, which is what they've done effectively. I just don't see. I know Joe Flacco, and let's say you get with interceptions, you can get short fields and pick sixes and all the rest of it, which obviously doesn't help unders. But I just think this might be a bit of a cagey affair with Houston kind of going with the mantra of, okay, let's stay in it to the end of the third quarter and then kind of see where we're at. I don't necessarily think they'll want to let the Browns get away from them, because I think the Browns are the better team. I do believe it's quite close. Both teams have their merits, but what Kevin Stefanski's been able to do not necessarily with Deshaun Watson going down, but obviously Joe Flacco coming in, that wasn't part of the game script when they came into the season. So obviously, hats off to him and their coaching staff. But I think it'll be a close, cagey affair. Field goal in it maybe, and then so I just fancy the unders. I don't think one team will get to 20. I think only one team will get to that 20, 24. So that's my kind of reason why I've gone for the unders. I think one team might struggle there. So. Okay, let's move over to the second game on Saturday. We are at Arrowhead. Kansas City Chiefs -4.5. They host an injured and kind of walking wounded Miami Dolphins team. Over under here is 43.5. Liam, I'll give you the floor as you are the resident Chiefs expert.
Yeah, well, I think I know also what Adam will mention, which will be the weather, which I think is quite key if you're a Dolphins hater from a betting perspective. I didn't mind the Chiefs spread at 3.5, just because very often, obviously, in these games, when you're down a field goal, you score a touchdown, then the other team has to score a touchdown to go win the game. But now it's 4.5, and you're kind of getting that cover as well. I'm not sure it's a spread that I would bet if I was a neutral, just because you have seen games, obviously, where the Kansas City Chiefs wide receivers just cost them a game they should win by double digits. They can be that bad. So I wouldn't be backing that. So in terms of how the game will go, I still think Chiefs offense will be good, centered around a few people. I think the Dolphins should run the ball better than they did in Germany. But passing game wise, in that weather, obviously Tua, we've seen stop the middle of the field. You can limit Tua, make him throw those interceptions that we saw last week. Chiefs defense is one of the best in the playoffs, and the secondary is obviously the strength rather than kind of up front. I think that there'll be a lot of running from a Dolphins perspective, which makes me worry about the total. But my best bet is I've gone for the guy's jersey that I'm wearing, Rashee Rice, over 6.5 receptions. On my model, this was actually the best bet of the whole playoffs. Like a 22% edge, you should have like 8.5 receptions should be the line, but they've set it at 6.5. They throw to him all the time. I'd never bet his yardage because half his throws are screens. But when you're betting receptions, screens are great because Mahomes is just going to chuck it to him 1 yard down and just see what he can do. So I love Rice receptions. I don't mind betting Kelsey after a week off on his overs. Tim put a little Kelsey jibe in pre-recording to try and annoy me, but I decided to stay calm. So I don't mind his overs in a game like this where they're going to throw the ball a lot to him. But the weather's going to make it a run first game probably for most of the team. But I think it should be fun. I would just stay away from the total with weather like this for me, and go more on the player props side of things.
Yep. Adam?
Yeah, the weather, obviously, I am going to mention it because it's really cold. Apparently
Really?
0 Fahrenheit is expected over there, and Tua can't win in the cold. So that puts me off the Dolphins immediately. But then how do you deal with the cold? You run the ball. And the Dolphins surely have the better run game. So it's the only thing that's given me a little bit of apprehension about the Chiefs winning quite easily in this one. I do think they will still. I don't rate. Well, I've said I think, for quite a while that I don't really rate the Dolphins that much. They're playing obviously a winning team now as well, which hurts them. I did have a quick look at strength of schedule because there's something about the team having the hardest strength of schedule during the season being the right side to be on in the playoffs. These two are both in the bottom 10 of schedules played this year. So the Dolphins had like the third easiest schedule. The Chiefs were eighth. So according to the place I found anyway. So they've both had a fairly easy walk so far. The Chiefs obviously haven't been great this season, but what does it matter? They knew they were going to win the AFC West, and good teams come alive in the playoffs. So it'll be interesting to see whether the Chiefs can snap out of the season they've had so far. I think they probably can, but it is a little bit of a worry for me with how they do. Because I don't like the Chiefs, and because I want them to lose, I've gone with Chiefs -4 as my my bet of the week in this one. I do agree with Liam that betting on the total is tough. Logically, under should be the bet here because the Chiefs do have a very good defense anyway, and their offense is spluttering. So if they don't score that many points, I don't think the Dolphins will. So under 44.5 would be my lean on the total. But yeah, I've gone with the spread. I do think the Chiefs win. And they could be part of a teaser. I know you're not meant to go through 0, but trying to get them and the Cowboys. Like everyone wants to get the Cowboys in a teaser this week, so you need to pick someone, and the Chiefs should win this one fairly comfortably, I think.
Yeah, and I think this would be dominated on the ground attack. So I've just gone simple. Pacheco anytime touchdown score around evens. I think it is. Maybe you can get 11-10 somewhere, but I'm not like I say. It's hard enough to just try and decipher the smoke and mirrors about the Chiefs season. It's hard to know kind of how banged up the Dolphins are and how effective they're going to be. Obviously, we know that they're going to run it on the ground with Mostert and Achane. But yeah, I'll just go simple and not try and get too clever here. I'm just going to go for an anytime touchdown score in Pacheco. So simple as that. 64.5 yards is his rushing total. Liam feels that leads a bit low. I would tend to agree with him, especially with Bradley Chubb missing.
We did want to mention Pacheco and Mostert both to score. Sky Bet have quote unquote boosted it to 7-2. Penny Power have it at 3.77 to 1, so a little bit better on there without a boost. That's just on the bet builder. So if you do fancy that, which logically makes sense, obviously Mostert shared the lead for touchdowns this year with 21. So and having a week off, he should be coming back healthy. And Pacheco's just a really weird running beast at the moment. So he's probably going to find the end zone as well.
Yeah, just a note on Sky Bet. I have noticed over the last, and this is across all sports, not necessarily just American football, but I've noticed that some of the stuff that they boost is actually better priced elsewhere, but they specifically bring it down half a point or a whole point to then boost it up a little bit, and you can still get better elsewhere. So yeah, I mean, it's a boost, but it's not a boost. It's a boost if you're only a Sky Bet. But degenerates like us, we have multiple accounts everywhere, all over the place. So there's no doubt you can find something somewhere else. There we go. Let's move on then to Sunday 6 o'clock for the UK guys. It is Pittsburgh Steelers who squeaked in yet again into the playoffs. So they travel to, is it Orchard Park? They travel to face the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills aren't the +9.5. I've got that one the wrong way around. So I would take that all day long. But the over under here 36.5. That also feels like I've got that wrong as well. But who knows? I'll check that in a second. But Buffalo are definitely 1-6 to win the game. Steelers are 4-1. Liam, I think this is going to be an absolute blowout. So I'll just my best bet of the weekend is Buffalo -9.5. TJ Watt's out with a whatever CL sprain he has, and they just stink on off. I think Mason Rudolph's going to turn into a pumpkin. So I would even go as far as 16, 17 points this one.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that against Tomlin, but I would agree with you. If I had to pick a spread, I'd pick -9.5 for Buffalo. The thing with the Bills is they have just not been very good. Obviously, they only just beat Bailey Zappi. They nearly lost the week before that to the Eastern Stick Chargers. Chiefs should have beat them if it wasn't for Tony's toe. And then the Dolphins probably would have won if it wasn't for that punt return touchdown. So I'm a bit worried, and especially about how bad Josh Allen was the last 2 weeks from passing the ball perspective. I'm a little bit worried about that if I was a better. But yeah, they should win the game. Steelers aren't very good, but Steelers haven't been good all season. They've somehow got another winning season and they're in the playoffs. So yeah, this is just a game that there's going to be one game in this that no one sees something coming, whether that's Packers, winning by a big score, Chiefs getting blown out, I don't know, Texans winning by 30. But if somehow the Steelers were winning in the fourth quarter, it just would not shock me with this team and how weird Buffalo have been. So I'd probably stay away from that. My best bet, you got the total right, is actually over the total, 36.5 points. Bills defense has been trending up since that middle of the season kind of terrible moments. They made the trade for the corner from the Packers for Saul Douglas, but still not great red zone defense, not a good run defense, which the Steelers are just going to try and run the hell out of the ball. And then Josh Allen will score. I'd be shocked if he didn't score 17 at the worst, but more likely 20, 23, 24. So I think it'll go over. I just think there'll be a garbage touchdown at least for the Steelers, and we'll be talking about a 39 to 45 point game in that region. So I actually love the over just because I don't trust that defense. I don't really trust the Steelers defense without TJ, like you said. I think it'll be over. Bills should win. Obviously, I'm cheering on the Steelers. I'm going to be a Steelers fan for a few hours, which should be an experience. But we'll see. I just don't want a dud game. I don't want like 40-3 or something, because this is the best time slot for UK neutral fans. So you don't want to be watching a 6 o'clock game where Josh Allen's thrown for 350 yards and the Steelers have had 4 turnovers in the first half, because that just ruined Sunday for everyone watching.
Yeah, and I do, like I say, with the run games, and Adam notes that there's potentially 50-mile-per-hour gusts in the game. Obviously, that's going to limit the run game. I do quite like James Cook to have a decent game, or Josh Allen always runs in as well. But I'd rather have James Cook at 5-4 than Josh Allen at 4-5. But Adam, your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I was just looking through a few random props on Bet365 just while you guys were talking. With the wind, you can get under 1.5 Buffalo Bills field goals at 23-20. Amazingly, you can get 20-23 on Josh Allen to throw an interception, which seems far better than I was expecting on that one. You can get Bills over 1.5 rushing touchdowns, 29-20, which again seems very high when you got Josh Allen barging in from a yard out. The game as a whole, I do struggle with it. I do think the Bills, obviously, we've said it, and you guys verbalized it well there. It's like the Steelers just do what the Steelers do. They never look like they should be in games, but they win games. So it's a really tough one. I don't think I'd be able to take 9.5. I think I'd probably have to lean to the Steelers, despite the fact that I do not think they're a very good team. But I agree with Liam. I don't think the Bills have been too impressive. I do think they should have smashed the Dolphins last week. It was silly mistakes. They got in the red zone countless times and gave the ball away. He threw to the 1 yard line at half time. He threw 2 end zone interceptions. They moved the ball easily against the Dolphins. So I do think that the win was deserved, despite the fact that it did come largely from the game turned on that kick return. But yeah, it is a tough one for me personally to call. I do also agree with obviously them running the ball. Jaylen Warren had a bad game last week, but his line's 36.5. I saw that Najee Harris has been a little bit dinged up. He wasn't training the other day, so I've gone for him over 36.5 rushing yards as my bet for this game. I do quite fancy the Josh Allen 20-23 to throw an interception though. He does tend to struggle a little in the playoffs still, despite however many years it's been that he's been getting there. And the Bills are the Bills. They do tend to falter when it comes to crunch time. So it will be interesting. But yeah, there's a few bets there that I did quite like while we were looking around. I do like the 29-20 for over 1.5 rushing touchdowns. So should be hopefully a fun game. Like the weather does seem like it's going to be affecting things, but for me, a fun game is the Bills winning by 20. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Jaylen Warren rush attempts line is 8.5 as well, if you're interested in that. But also, randomly looking on Sky Bet, they've got both teams to score a rushing touchdown of 5-4, which could
like that.
Could be of interest.
Double that with the Chiefs Dolphin one if we can.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, moving on to my highlight of the weekend: Green Bay Packers, much improving, and obviously young offense of the Green Bay Packers travel to AT&T to face the Cowboys. 7.5. Obviously, it's the Mike McCarthy Bowl. 7.5 point favorites are the Cowboys. 2-7 on the money line. Over under here is 50.5. I think regardless of what the result is, I think this is going to be a great game. I think defense is just going to go out the window in this one. It's just going to be one of those crazy, just buckle up and just enjoy the ride kind of games. So I've gone for, I believe I've gone for over 50.5. Let me just double check. Over 50. I think this will be the highest scoring game of the weekend. I know the next game obviously is the highest total of the weekend with a point more. But yeah, I think this one could be just one of those where Dak to CD Lamb and just Jordan Love to Romeo Dobbs, Jaden Reed, and all the young guys that he's got. He's got such a rapport with all of his wide receivers, and obviously they've got half decent run game as well, and the tight ends. Obviously, Luke Musgrave made his return last week as well. I think it'll still be Tucker Kraft who will get the majority of snaps and majority of looks in passing situations. But I think there's just a lot of offensive talent on here, and Green Bay's defense is okay. Obviously Jair Alexander came back last week, and Dallas obviously have got who they've got. But I just think this is the one where I wouldn't be surprised if this one hits 70 points, to be quite honest. So give me the overs. Adam, Liam, nice. take the stage.
Obviously it's your game, so I'm surprised. Did you give a lean on the side? I assume normally you go for Mike McCarthy fucking it up. So are you going Cowboys or Packers?
On the spread, I'll take the Packers on the spread on the 7.5. But if it's 7, I'll take the Cowboys.
Yeah, that little hook is obviously it's why they do it. But as I say, like everyone's trying to get this in the teaser legs this week. So if you can tease it with something or alt points or alt spread if you can't do teasers, which very few bookies in the UK actually offer teasers, which is tad annoying, but you can change the spread yourself. I agree with you. Obviously, it should be a hell of a game. I do think the over is the place to look on it. And then it's how you play that. Do you play touchdown scorers? Do you play receiving yards? Do you play rushing yards on overs? I think over on everything seems like a kind of logical way to go about it. Obviously, the Packers generally tend to have a poor run defense, but I don't rate the Cowboys rushing game, so I'm not going anywhere there. There is obviously a particular wide receiver who will be talked about in a minute for the Cowboys who's been lights out since their bye week. CD Lamb's been incredible. Other than that, the ball gets moved around and Dak is playing. Obviously not MVP level because that's going to be Lamar Jackson, but he will be top 3 in the MVP, which is fully deserved. He's had a very good season. The Packers, obviously a young team, up and coming. They've been up and down through the season, but they are hitting form again now. I did mention in our before the show, Bo Melton for the Packers. He's been increasingly involved in recent weeks for them, and I think his receiving line is going to be around probably 30-ish. I'm hoping for that anyway, and I will definitely be taking the over on his receiving yard. If it is 30 to 40-ish, he's had 44 plus in the last 3 games, so he does seem to be getting increasingly involved. And as Tim said, Jaden Reed has been brilliant. Romeo Dobbs, even Tucker Kraft has been decent at tight end for them. So there's weapons all over for them. I don't know if AJ Dillon's going to play. I assume he will, but I know he missed last week. Aaron Jones, I'm always up and down on Aaron Jones. He's got the ability to do it all, but he tends to struggle with a full workload, much like Tony Pollard. So, yeah, I think it should be a very entertaining game. And luckily, as we say, it's not the late one for us. So it's a decent time for us in the UK.
Yeah, just a note on some passing yards. Dak Prescott, 278.5. Jordan Love over 247.5. I smashed the over on that, to be quite honest. Yeah. I didn't see any Jordan Love rushing yards. They've got Dak Prescott's rushing yardage, but yeah, Jordan Love's rushing yards might be a bit of a tinkle if it's low enough, but I can't seem to find it at the moment. Liam, your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I do agree with you guys, which is a worry for us if we all agree on the same idea of the over being a good shout. 2 good offenses, high scoring teams. Cowboys defense actually got worse, even though I loved it at the start of the season. It's got worse as the season's gone on. Packers defense is normally pretty bad, but then they were really good last week, obviously, against Fields. So we'll see which one of them turns up. But yeah, they're not very good normally. They can't stop the run either, which I know Pollard's not been great, but it's still got Ricky O'Dowd, you still got Pollard who's going to run. They'll still do some jet sweeps as well with some of the wide receivers to make it a format of the run game. So yeah, I do think there'll be points. It's interesting because it's not the biggest total of the week, but it's actually favourite for highest scoring game on Sky Bet. which I know we're not talking about this game now, but that means Lions-Rams is 6-5 to be the highest scoring game, and it's got the highest total. So depending on which game you feel like is going to have higher points, you can probably bet that. Highest scoring team, Cowboys are 6-4 favourites. Packers, if you think they can win, are the second lowest favourites, 10-1. So there's an angle there, depending on who you think is going to win. I actually don't mind that. I know the reason is because the Bills could score loads of points and the Steelers might not score many. But still, 10-1 for the Packers isn't bad if you think they can win the game. But yeah, my best bet, alluding to what Adam said, is around CeeDee Lamb, over 7.5 receptions. Had an incredible season, arguably, regardless of Tyreek's yardage, probably been maybe the best wide receiver in the league if you look at the rest of the offense and who he's playing with. He's been really, really good. This was marginally behind Rice on my numbers. It was like 21% versus 20%. So yeah, this is like a smash bet for me for CeeDee Lamb being over 7.5 receptions. I don't know what his line is for a touchdown, but I wouldn't be against that. I can't bet Jake Ferguson again because I've done that every week, it feels like. But
he hasn't done much recently, has he?
No, ever since I started betting him, what a shocker. But yeah, I would have a look at his touchdown total as well because I think he can score. But yeah, I think it'll be a high one. I'm with you guys. 7.5 is a bit weird for me, so I don't want to touch the spread. So I'm happy to go for CeeDee Lamb over 7.5 receptions.
Yeah, he will absolutely pepper CeeDee Lamb, and let's say the Packers and all the teams over since the bye know what's coming. You just can't stop it, so it would just happen. So, and obviously, assuming there's no injury. Adam, your favorite bet was at Jordan Love. We did mention Jordan Love, but your favorite bet is Jordan Love anytime touchdown score at 9-1.
Yeah, that's on Boyle Sports. I just think he's obviously again, same with CJ Stroud. Games on the line, seasons on the line. Quarterbacks will take things into their own hands. And 9-1, I thought was far too big. That was at Boyle Sports, and Boyle Sports are also top on CeeDee Lamb 10-11, which is a lot better than the 1-2 you can get on the UK's NFL sponsor. Do not take 1-2 when you can get 10-11.
God. 1-2, that is awful.
Yeah, that's at 888. Who do not sponsor us anymore, or don't pay any money to me anymore. So yeah, don't bet there over that odds.
One thing all three of us will seem to be betting on in the late game on the Sunday is the Rams plus 3.5 as they travel to Ford Field in the Matthew Stafford Jared Goff Bowl, or whatever you want to call it. Should be storylines galore going into this one, which has Liam frothing at the mouth, and the over under here, like I say, 51.5 is the total. So Liam, since you're the most excited for this game, I'll let you have your thoughts first.
Yeah, I'm definitely most excited for this game. I've become known for being excited about this game on our podcast. I've been banging on about it. Yeah, this is just perfect revenge game. I don't know if Stafford you can class as revenge because obviously they love him in Detroit. He loves Detroit. But I still like the angle that he wanted to move on and now he's coming back with the Rams. Obviously, Jared Goff versus Sean McVay. He kind of made Goff at the time into who he was, and then Goff started to struggle and completely ditched him, and Goff's talked about how hard that was mentally because of some of the stuff that Sean said. So there's a bit of a rivalry here. Two fun teams, very good on offense. Obviously, the difference for the Rams is they've got a guy in Aaron Donald that can close a game on defense. Aiden Hutchinson's good, but he's not Aaron Donald. And the Lions defense is welcoming back some players. They're healthier, but they've just been bad all year, so I'm not sure if they can up it against, for me, one of the best offenses in the entire league. So yeah, I think this should be a fun game. I like the over as well. Obviously, my best bet is Rams plus 3.5. I like Rams money line as well, but I wanted to cover myself with the 3.5. But yeah, I like the over in the points. I think it'll be a bit of a barnstormer. I think the Rams are the only team that can beat the 49ers, probably, for me, in the NFC. I like them that much. That's how good I think Stafford is. So yeah, should be a fun game. I'm going to stay up and watch this one. I wish this was the 9 o'clock game and your Cowboys were the 1 a.m. game, but yeah, it should be. Should be a fun game. Just mentioning player props for a sec. Apart from Kyron Williams, the rest is quite tough because they do start to spread it around a lot. The only one that I looked at that I liked a lot was Amon-Ra St. Brown, over 7.5 receptions. Obviously, Jared Goff throws the ball to him a lot. Not a massive yardage guy, similar to Rice sometimes. Can go for kind of short stuff. So yeah, I don't mind that, but the rest is quite tough just because, yeah, they can throw random trick plays to whoever. McVay's now got Puka, so doesn't throw to Cup as much. But yeah, for me, I think Rams plus 3.5 is the best bet.
Yeah, Adam.
The Amon-Ra St. Brown without obviously Sam Laporta. So in theory, I'd imagine Ra will probably get more of the ball as well, which seems impossible, but you'd imagine that's where it's going. I think Brock Wright was a little banged up as well, which is the backup tight end for them. So it might be worth a little outside look on James Mitchell, but he's only 7-1 best priced, and that is a 10 bet. So I don't really count 10 bet when I look at these things. So you're probably looking about 4-1 for James Mitchell to score a touchdown for the Lions. It should be a high scoring, should be a fun game. The stats between Stafford and Goff are remarkable. They've since that trade. They've both won 24 games each. They both have 66% completion percentage. They've had 75 to 78 passing touchdowns. Goff is 3 ahead on that one. They've had the same amount of turnovers essentially, and their passer ratings are pretty much identical as well. It's quite incredible how similar the 41 to 41 on turnovers, and both around 96 for passer rating. So they both traded teams. They've both had mild success. Obviously, Stafford has had the more success with it. But yeah, Goff has actually done all right from that trade. So it will be very interesting. It should be a really fun game. I do agree with Liam on the Rams plus 3.5. Obviously, getting that hook on the 3 is quite useful, and we'll see how it goes. Yeah, I would like to stay up for it. I don't think there's much chance of that happening, but it is a game that I would at least watch the game in 40 for myself the next day.
Yes, indeed. Let me get we round it all off then on Monday Night Football as the Philadelphia Eagles travel to Raymond James. They face the Buccaneers. Buccaneers are 2.5-point underdogs at home, which is I'm not quite sure if it's surprising or not considering the recent struggles of the Eagles. But both obviously lots of injury concerns or questions going into this game. The over/under here is 43.5. I probably thought this is one of the harder ones to call, just probably because of the injuries and just because obviously we're so used to Philadelphia doing things better than they have done. Obviously got smashed by the Giants last week. Didn't really matter in the end, obviously, because the Cowboys won. But I think on form and I think on kind of what reliability of what you can expect from the teams, you'd have to go the Bucs. But obviously the Eagles have been there, done that, and it seems to be a bit of pressure on Nick Sirianni. If he doesn't have a good playoffs, that he'll be out the door. So Liam, where is your money for this game?
Yeah, my money's with the favourites still. So Eagles minus 2.5. Obviously, struggled a lot, but still very good football team, especially against the Bucs. Baker's definitely come down to earth a little bit. The defense for the Bucs not very good at stopping the run anymore. And obviously, this Eagles team, regardless of Hurts' injury, will definitely run the ball a lot, whether it's with someone else or still with him. Even if he's got a dodgy finger, they'll still probably make him sneak it like 8 times in the game and absolutely smash his body to bits. But I'm not long for the Eagles for the whole playoffs, but for this game, I think it's a good bet. I just think they're so much better than the Buccaneers. They're not playing great at the moment, but still roster strength, experience, head coach, regardless of how he's done this year, much better than the Buccaneers for me. So I think the Eagles will win. I would stay away from the total for me, just because I just don't know what type of game you could get here, especially if the injury to both quarterbacks, but especially Hurts is bad, and he plays the whole game, but then plays limited. I just don't know how the game looks. So for me, I think the Eagles win. Very good field goal kicker, very good on 4th downs as well. So I think they'll win even if it's a close game. So I like the Eagles minus 2.5. Wouldn't shock me if they lost, but I just think you're not going to get a team this good at 2.5 against a team that I think's a lucky team to be in the playoffs, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, this is what they say. This is the highest one I found to try and find about. I've just gone for over 43.5 as a total because I think that's both defenses. The Eagles' defense is just a red carpet at the moment, and you're just allowing other teams to just do whatever they want. So Rashad White, and then Rashad White props, maybe rush yards. I can't remember what his was, but I think that's also a good bet. I think it's 60 or 60 something, 60. I put 60.5, 63.5. So I'll probably go overs on that. More, I probably like that more than the overs, but. With injuries, with uncertainty about both teams, I'd say Tampa Bay's run defense isn't great either. So I just thought 43.5 was maybe a couple of points too low. I think it'll be both teams will get into the 20s, which obviously Adam agrees, and we'll get to him shortly. But I don't really like to call a winner on the spread, so I'll just go overs on that one. Adam.
Yeah, as you say, I do agree with you with the overs. Essentially, I've gone with 20 points each team is 11-8 on Sky Bet. Because of the Jalen Hurts potential injury, we do believe he's going to play through. It's the playoffs. He's not going to sit out. But he did dislocate a finger on his throwing hand, so it is a fairly big worry, frankly. Whether he'll be, I was going to say effective. Has he been effective? I'm not sure. Then obviously you've got the AJ Brown worries with his knee. Sounds like he is going to play, but that looked like a pretty horrible injury last week. Devonta Smith missed last week as well, so they could be down their three main playmakers really, and obviously DeAndre Swift missed last week as well. I think that was just illness, so I'm sure he'll be fine to go on this one. But the Bucks have been, I was going to say in general, they've been putting up points, but obviously they only scored 9 against the Panthers last week, so it's a very tough game to call. I do agree with Tim on that one. Rashad White is 64.5 his rushing yards, so I don't know whether I'd go for that. I probably wouldn't, to be honest. I
like it's 16.5 attempts, which he's done in 5 of the last 6. So I'd probably take that. And his combined line, Liam's put there 91.5. I'm just looking at here. Last week he had 93, 66, 77, and then he had 4 straight of 100 plus. So I think the one there is a 16.5 attempts.
Yeah, I like his receptions at 3.5 as well, to be honest.
Yeah, I like
so
that.
receptions, he's had 4, 4, 6 the last 3 weeks, and then 2, 2, and 3, but yeah.
And again, the same as Liam was saying with Rashee Rice, I much prefer receptions over receiving yards because, especially for a running back, like he could catch it and get done in the backfield. But it's definitely what I would go with. In fact, I probably will take over 3.5 receptions for him if it's. I assume it's not 1 to 2 or anything like that. But yeah, I agree with Tim. It's the hardest game of the week to call. I am definitely leaning to the Bucks at home, just because the Eagles have stumbled their way to the playoffs, and they are getting more banged up as the weeks go on. But I don't really have faith in Baker Mayfield either. So yeah, I do think points are the way to go here. So obviously that's why I've done 11-8 on the 20 plus, and if I had to, I'd be leaning Bucks, but I don't want to touch the spread.
Yeah. Lovely stuff. All right, we'll do best bets and then we'll recap, and then I'll ask you boys a question at the end. Cleveland at Houston, under 45.5 for me. Adam's gone Cleveland -2.5 over 44.5 on the double. Liam's gone Singletary over 16.5 attempts. Mummy at Kansas City, Pacheco anytime touchdown scorer for me. Adam has gone KC -4. Liam's gone over 6.5 at Rashee Rice receptions. Pittsburgh at Buffalo -9.5 for me. Jalen Warren over 36.5 rushing yards for Adam. Liam has gone for over 36.5 points. Green Bay at Dallas, I've gone for over 50. Adam's gone for Jordan Love anytime touchdown scorer at big price, and Liam's gone over 7.5 receptions. Rams at Detroit, we've all gone the Rams +3.5, and then Philadelphia at Tampa Bay, probably a difficult one of the weekend. I've gone over 43.5. Adam's gone out, both teams to score 20 plus points, and Liam has gone for Philly -2.5. So before we get out of here, boys, it is the start of the playoffs. Obviously, everyone does predictors and bracket challenges and all that jazz. So I want you to name your Super Bowl final as things currently stand. Liam, start with you.
Chiefs Cowboys, same as I said at the start of the year.
Chiefs for fuck's sake. Adam.
As a neutral looking into the playoffs, the Ravens have been the best team in the league this year. I've got to go for them. And as annoying as it is, probably 49ers. It's boring, but I do think they are the 2 best teams in the league.
Yeah, they are. I know we mentioned the Cleveland Browns being the only team that can beat the Ravens. I did have a little nibble on. I think it was the Browns and 49ers Super Bowl. I can't remember the price I got. I think it was around 16 to 1 or something like that. But so I've had a little poke on that. I think it wasn't a 16. I've had a little nibble on the Browns outright for the Super Bowl 16 to 1. Let me just have a quick look. I'm on Sky Bet now.
You've had a poke and a nibble.
I've had a poke and a nibble, and we won't say anything more. No joking.
Lucky Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, I know.
It's 10 at the moment. Ravens 49ers on Sky Bet is 10-3.
Browns 49ers is 25s.
Chiefs Cowboys 22s. Oh, that's a great bet. That's a great bet. Get those Cowboys in.
Yeah, there we go. I agree with Adam. I think
game.
Yeah, I agree with Adam. I think Ravens and Niners feels like it's going to be the Super Bowl, but there are one or two. I think there's only a couple of teams maybe that can, like say the Browns in the AFC, and I'm not going to say the Cowboys in the NFC because I just don't want I don't want to get there. I don't want to get there. But
jinx it.
No, yeah. But obviously, like with playoffs, it's a good chance to like kind of have a bit of fun, play some brackets, play some games. Adam, you've got a competition going on as well, so you can plug that and obviously whatever else you do.
Yeah, I do like the picks contests on oneyourpool.com. So if you go to tdtips.com, touchdowntips.com, it's the first post on there at the moment. Yeah, basically 20 quid entry gets you in for the whole playoffs. And all you need to do each week is pick each game against the spread, pick the total on that game, and you'll get 10 points if you get a total correct, and then lose a point for each one you are off, and then 10 points for the spread correct. So 20 points on offer every week. I've done it the last few years now, and it's been a nice bit of fun. Me and Tim are sharing an entry this year ahead, along with my own entry, so I'm in for 1.5 times, which is quite nice for me. But yeah, it's always fun and just a nice way to get you through the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm a previous winner of that, so looking to go for not for the repeat, but yeah, it's good fun. I do like that. I like the 2 points element where you have to get close and you get points off how close you are. So yeah, that is good fun. Right, well, there we go, fellas. 45 minutes of playoff goodness. Obviously, just not as many games to do next week. Obviously, Super Wildcard Weekend is the most involved and the funnest weekend of the year, no doubt. So, yeah, good luck with all your bets. Thanks to Adam. Thanks to Liam for joining me as usual. Please gamble responsibly, and we will see you all next week for the divisional round. Bye-bye.